Alright folks, so I promised you a third video in the series regarding the state of Missouri and their caca. We did finally get out of the state of Missouri. Ended up with a bunch of headaches in doing so, but you know what? These people are just out of hand. There's absolutely no regard for any type of logic or anything. They just don't care. I mean, it's evident when you look at the fact that when they have a visitation with the child, for the mom, and the child is screaming at the mother because the mother won't buy her new clothes, yet somehow or another the caseworkers think it's the mom's fault for not being willing to go out and buy all new clothes. This system's screwy. Doesn't make any sense. Why is it okay? When she went to court, the judge wouldn't even look at the evidence. Not one social worker, not one government official, not one person ever came to the campsite to see what was going on. All they did was take the situation and blow it out of proportion and make it what they wanted, the story they wanted it to tell. I mean, never mind the fact that there was a Class A motorhome there on the premises that the child had been offered the ability to stay in. The child had asked to stay in the biggest tent that we had, so we got a tent that was a 10-person tent, which seemed to be more than sufficient for one person. And they don't care. Ned didn't want to look at the pictures, didn't want to look at the documentation. The judge even refused to look at anything logical. So then, when the mother is leaving the courthouse, the cops are following her, harassing her, giving her grief for simply walking to try to get a ride back to the campsite. The situation doesn't make any sense. Try to file a complaint against the cops, police chief won't take it. That's what they tell you got to file it with. So contacted the sheriff. The sheriff wants to give you some form to fill out to file a criminal complaint against a citizen. Not the same as if filing a complaint against a cop. They refuse to do anything that makes any sense. No right to due process. No, not even so much as preponderance of the evidence, let alone innocent until proven guilty. You know, there's even a drug test that shows there was no drugs. And the drug test was done by a OSHA and DOT approved facility, signed by a doctor, not done by some goofy cops that couldn't get their heads out of the wet paper sack if they tried. Something's wrong. When we went to court, Baldy, Officer 1218, won't give us his name, so we nicknamed him Baldy because whatever. You know, he's a skinhead. He's one of these Proud Boy type fellers, and he's standing out there in the lawn of the courthouse, the juvenile courthouse, screaming on his phone and shaking his fist in the air. I don't know about you, but that makes me concerned for my safety, let alone somebody else's safety. Yet they have an out-of-control officer that can't maintain any resemblance of decorum. And yet they're the ones saying we got the problem, saying I have the problem, saying she has the problem, saying anybody has the problem. It's illogical. If you have a child and you are camping in the state of Missouri, if you read these documents, they claim they have the right to take your child and you have no way to combat it. None. Zero, zip, nada, nothing. Class A motorhome doesn't matter. The Class A motorhome's got bathroom, kitchen, toilet, shower, the whole gamut, hot water, whatever. What the world? How does that make sense? You can call me whatever names you want. I don't really care. But these people are out of control. They ain't got no brains. They can't even look at the facts. They're mad at us because we don't have an address, a street address, for a campsite. I ain't never been to a campsite, especially dispersed camping in a national forest, that you get a street address when you pull up to the campsite. Yes, I had GPS coordinates because that's what I do. I pinned a little mark where I'm camping so I can find my way back to my camp. when I go out hiking or whatever else I'm doing. We had canoes. We had all kinds of recreational stuff. Fishing gear. Mind you, we hadn't bought fishing licenses yet, thank God, because we weren't ready to go fishing. We were going to buy it for the day that we were going to go fishing, because they're expensive to buy out-of-state licenses. But we ended up using our fishing money to pay to stay there longer because these clowns wouldn't let us leave. It's totally illogical. The entire Missouri system is illogical. They still have not contacted the state of Alabama to send the kid back to Alabama. They put the kid in a group home. Now, in the group home, they took the kid off her meds without access to her medical records. They still don't have her in school as far as we can tell. And whatever reasons, doesn't make any sense. These people are clueless. So you're going to take an autistic kid that flips out in a store, and you're going to throw her in social services, human services, whatever goofy name you want to give the agency, claim you don't have any liability for your behavior, and claim that, well, they're homeless because they're sleeping in a tent. I don't get it. And you want to hear something really funny? Not even a month before, there were volunteers from a church youth group. Now think about this for a second. That were between 13 and 18, sleeping in the exact same kind of tents in Louisiana, volunteering to help do hurricane cleanup. Now wait a second, hold up. It was okay in Louisiana for volunteers to sleep in those tents because they had to. There wasn't enough room in the RV motorhome for 30 kids. But it's not okay to go on a recreational camping trip with friends that's COVID friendly in the Missouri Mark Twain National Forest because you don't have a stinking address. Now they claim they got her in school. Who knows? I don't know what to believe out of these people. I frankly don't believe a word the cops say. I really don't believe the social worker. And it doesn't make any sense. Social worker can't send correct links to the video visits, can't get their paperwork straight, won't contact Alabama to get the kid back here. Everything about this thing stinks. There's not one shred of evidence that those people have saying that anything that they're doing is based on fact. There's a ton of evidence showing that everything they've done is based on their fiction. Their agenda had zero, zip, nada to do with factual evidence. I don't get it. Now somebody needs to explain this to me. And then while we're there, I try to go to church on Sunday. Visit a church wherever, if I'm out of state or whatever. And we go to this church, Faith Fellowship. Preacher gets up on Sunday morning and starts preaching political propaganda, including pro-police, pro-Trump, pro-government, everything. Complete violation of the IRS laws regarding churches. I don't understand. What's going on here? They market themselves as a non-denominational, welcoming church. Here we are at odds with the bureaucracy for snatching a child from a camping trip and making a whole lot of havoc that's cost several $1,000s in headaches and funds. And, the mother ended up where she's got to move because of the whole issue with the job and the housing and everything else. How's that fair? If she'd have been back when she was supposed to be and went back to work like a normal person does, a lot of Americans, they take these things called vacations. They even take them over in Europe, a lot more than Americans do. But the state of Missouri doesn't get it. I wonder if those judges and those cops and those social workers take vacations. Maybe they've never gone camping in a tent. I don't know. Seems really screwy. Well, September 13th is another round of horse pookie. In other words, let's play with the Missouri bureaucracy pile of crap where you can't even present evidence. What kind of hearing is it? According to the documents, that was supposed to be a hearing where they looked at the evidence to take the child. Looked at the evidence. They didn't look at any evidence. They wouldn't even allow anybody to present any evidence. The only thing they did is said, okay, we agree with them. Thank you. Have a good day. That's after they backdated court documents. If you don't have that document on a Friday, and then the following Monday that document appears with a date on it for the previous Thursday, to me, somebody made up some paperwork. There's some funny business. There's some stinky, smelly, funny crap going on in Missouri. So, beware. If you're trying to camp in the state of Missouri and you got young'uns, I'd suggest you find another place. Because them dirty folks can snatch your young'un, throw them into social services. Well, can't produce any evidence. Don't care. Doesn't matter. You're guilty until you're guilty as far as they're concerned. There's no way to defend yourself. There's no way to look at the logical situation. There's no way to do anything other than just deal with their crap. So what do? Don't go camping in Missouri. Hope you guys have a better day. There'll be another update later on. Take care.